You have been blaming the wrong person. Every difficult relationship, every rejection, every cold shoulder, every argument that spiraled into silence, every person who looked at you and saw someone less than who you know yourself to be. You blamed them. You blamed their mood, their history, their inability to see you clearly. And every time you did, you gave your power to someone who never had it in the first place. I am going to tell you something tonight that will disturb you before it frees you. It disturbed me when I first saw it, and then it became the most liberating truth I have ever encountered in all my years of teaching. Everyone in your world, every single person you interact with is you pushed out, not metaphorically, not poetically, literally. And when you understand what that means, you will never again waste a single night blaming another human being for the state of your world. My name is Neville, and what I am about to share with you is not a theory. It is not a philosophy I borrowed from another teacher and repackaged. It is the operating principle of consciousness itself, and I discovered it through decades of testing it against every relationship, every circumstance, and every so-called impossible situation I ever faced. The concept is this: everyone is you pushed out. Every person in your world are your partner, your employer, your mother. The stranger who was rude to you this morning is reflecting back to you the assumptions you hold about them in your own consciousness. This is the law of assumption applied to human relationships, and it works with mathematical precision. In this teaching, I will show you exactly what this principle means, why it operates the way it does, and how to use it to transform any relationship in your life, not by changing the other person, but by changing the assumption you hold about them within yourself. Let me begin where all truth begins, with consciousness itself. Consciousness is the only reality. I have said this many times, and most people nod along without truly hearing it, so let me say it differently. There is nothing outside of your consciousness. The room you sit in, the device you are listening through, the person sleeping in the next room, or the person you wish were sleeping in the next room, all of it exists within your awareness. Not as a philosophical abstraction, as literal fact. Your consciousness is not inside your body. Your body is inside your consciousness. The world is inside your consciousness. And every person you have ever met exists, as far as your experience is concerned, as a projection of the assumptions you hold within that consciousness. This is not cruelty. This is not victim blaming. This is the recognition that you are the operant power in your world. The state you occupy determines the world you see. When you walk through your day assuming that people are hostile, you will encounter hostility. Not because hostile people found you, because your assumption selected them, filtered for them, brought them forward from the infinite possibilities of the world, and made them your experience. When you assume that a specific person is cold, distant, uninterested, you will experience that person as cold, distant, uninterested, not because they chose to be, because you gave them no other role to play in the drama of your consciousness. I tell you from my own experience, the moment I understood this, every grievance I had ever held against another person dissolved, not because I forgave them, because there was nothing to forgive. They had only ever played the part I had written for them. You are imagination, and imagination creates reality, and every person in your world is a character in the reality your imagination has constructed. The question is not whether this is true. It is operating right now in every relationship you have, whether you are aware of it or not. The question is whether you will become conscious enough to choose what you project. So we have established that consciousness is the only reality, and that every person in your experience is reflecting back to you the assumptions you hold about them. You understand that you are the operant power, the one writing the script that others perform. But here is where most people stumble, because understanding this principle intellectually is not the same as applying it, and application requires you to confront something deeply uncomfortable: the realization that every painful interaction you have ever had was authored by you, not by the other person, by you. In a moment, I am going to show you exactly how to use this principle to rewrite any relationship, and the method is so simple, so direct, that your rational mind will resist it. But the law does not require your rational mind's approval. It requires only your assumption. The method is this: if you want someone to change your assumption about them, not your behavior toward them. not your words, not your strategy, your assumption. Let me give you an example. A woman came to one of my lectures in New York many years ago. She told me that her husband had become cold, distant, that he no longer spoke to her with warmth, that he came home late and left early, and that she feared she was losing him entirely. I asked her one question: what do you say to yourself about him when he is not in the room? She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I tell myself he does not love me anymore. I tell myself he is looking for someone else. I tell myself it is over. I said to her, there is your husband. The man you see in your living room is the man you have constructed in your imagination. You have assumed him into coldness. Now assume him into warmth. She asked me how. I said, tonight, before you fall asleep, imagine him as you wish him to be, not as he was last Tuesday, not as he was when he forgot your anniversary. Imagine him looking at you the way he did when he first told you he loved you. Hear him saying words of tenderness. Feel his hand on yours, and do not do this as a technique. Do it because in the state akin to sleep, you are impressing a new assumption upon your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind will externalize that assumption into your world. She came back 3 weeks later. Her husband, she said, had changed. He brought flowers. He initiated conversation. He looked at her differently. He had not changed. Her assumption about him had changed. And because everyone is you pushed out, when she revised the inner man, the outer man conformed. Dare to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is not manipulation. Manipulation is trying to force another person to behave differently through pressure, guilt, or strategy. This is creation. You are not changing them. You are changing the only thing that has ever determined their behavior in your experience, your consciousness of them. Now, how do you do this practically? First, identify the person you wish to experience differently. It can be anyone, a partner, a parent, a colleague, a friend, someone you have never met. Second, ask yourself honestly, what do I habitually assume about this person? What is the inner conversation I hold about them when they are not present? Do I assume they are difficult, unloving, dishonest, unavailable? Be ruthless in your honesty. The inner conversation is the blueprint. Whatever you are saying to yourself about them is the instruction your subconscious receives and externalizes. Third, revise, construct a new inner conversation, not a wish, not a hope, a conversation that implies the relationship as you want it to be. Hear them saying words that would only be said if the relationship had already transformed. Feel the naturalness of it, the ease. The most important conversation you will ever have is the one you hold with yourself, and the most important version of that conversation is the one you hold about other people. Fourth, take this revised conversation into the state akin to sleep. As you lie down at night, replay it, feel it, let it become real, and then let sleep carry it to the subconscious, which will accept it as literal fact and begin restructuring your world to match. Persist in your assumption, and the world must rearrange itself to conform. This includes every person in that world. Now, a common objection. People ask me, Neville, are you saying that other people have no free will, that they are puppets? I am saying something far more radical than that. I am saying there is only one consciousness, and it is yours. The people you see are individualized expressions of the one infinite awareness that you are. When you change the assumption within, the expression without must change because they were never separate from you. This does not mean other people do not exist. It means they exist within the same consciousness that you do. And the version of them that you experience is always determined by the state you occupy. A man who assumes his boss is unreasonable will have an unreasonable boss. A woman who assumes her children are difficult will have difficult children. A person who assumes the world is hostile will live in a hostile world. Change the assumption. The world changes. Man's imagination is the only redemptive power in the world. Not negotiation, not confrontation, not therapy designed to fix the other person. Your imagination, the image you hold of another in the privacy of your own mind, is the only force that determines how they show up in your life. Let me bring you into this now. Close your eyes if you are able. Think of one person in your life whose behavior you wish were different. See their face, not with judgment, simply see them. Now in your mind, hear them say something they have never said to you, something that would only be true if the relationship were exactly as you desire it to be. It might be a word of love, a word of respect, an apology, a congratulation, an invitation. Hear their voice, feel the warmth of the exchange, let yourself feel the naturalness of this moment as though it is simply how things are between you. Isn't it wonderful? Hold this feeling. This is not fantasy. This is an impression being made upon the subconscious mind, and the subconscious does not distinguish between what is physically experienced and what is vividly imagined in the state akin to sleep. You may release the scene now. The impression has been made. I want to return to the woman I told you about, the one whose husband had grown cold. 3 weeks after she revised her inner image of him, he was a different man. But here is the part of the story most people miss. He did not know anything had changed. He did not feel manipulated. He did not feel controlled. He simply felt different. He felt drawn to her. He felt warmth where before there had been distance, and he could not explain why. That is how the law works. It does not announce itself. It does not leave fingerprints. The world simply rearranges to match the new assumption, and the people within it behave as though they have always been this way. This is the truth that sets you free, not from other people, from the belief that other people are the cause of your experience. They are not. You are. You have always been. And tonight, you can begin to assume a new world by assuming new things about the people in it. What you desire, you already are in eternity. The relationship you want is not something to be earned or negotiated. It is something to be assumed with feeling, assumed in the state akin to sleep, assumed with the calm persistence of someone who knows the law and trusts it completely. Sleep as though the wish were fulfilled. Wake as though it is already so. The person you most want to change is not the problem. The assumption you hold about them is. Change the assumption tonight, and then watch them become the person you always knew they could be, because they were never anyone else. They were always you pushed out. If this teaching has opened something within you, I invite you to test it. Choose one person. Revise your inner conversation about them tonight. Do not tell them. Do not announce your experiment. Simply change the image you hold of them in the silence of your own mind and observe what happens. If these teachings speak to something within you, you will find more of them here. Return when you are ready. There is always a deeper layer to uncover, and I will be here to take you further. Consciousness is the only reality, and tonight you can use it to reshape every relationship in your world.